Colleagues, my friends, have you ever wondered what is required to get a job in journalism today? Well, are you famous? Because right here I have a leaked spreadsheet. It's a leaked spreadsheet of candidates being reviewed for a new digital journalism company called the Markup. It's founded by a couple of the head investigative reporters from the Wall Street Journal. It's funded by the founder of Craigslist, who gave over $20 million to start it. Now, they haven't published anything yet, but in classic New York City journalism fashion, their spreadsheet got leaked of what they look for in candidates. So here is often journalism, and when you're applying to journalism jobs, it's like a thick cashmere veil. You never quite see, am I qualified? What are they actually looking for? What should I put on my resume? Well, here we go. It's quite a controversial little spreadsheet, but let's break it down. I'll put it up on the actual screen too. But some of the metrics this journalism company is using to determine candidates are interesting. So the first one here says, understands journalism, good at crafted journalism. Makes sense, and they've ranked it, looks like a 1 to 5 order. The next metric they're looking at, skeptical/critical about tech's societal effects. Okay, interesting. Next metric, justice seeking. Now this must be based on their in-person interviews. How did this candidate seem in terms of justice seeking? Explanatory, useful, helpful to the reader. How good are they at condensing and explaining complex subjects? Which is actually, in my opinion, the best measurement of somebody's intelligence, is to be able to take complex subjects and explain them simply. It's a really difficult skill that not a lot of people have, to be articulate. In fact, I think it was Carl Sagan that famously was writing a book and decided against it because he was like, I cannot condense this simply enough. I don't know how to convey what I'm trying to talk about in astrophysics simply enough, so I need to do more research. Carl Sagan's no dum-dum. What else is this TOS-like startup journalism company funded to the tune of $20 million looking for? They're looking for candidates that understand the tech industry. Okay, and then they have a total of that. So that was, I guess, one qualifying bucket. The next question they rank candidates on is famous. How famous are you as a candidate applying to work at this journalism company? Well, you better be famous, I guess. What does famous mean? Are they Twitter famous? YouTube famous? You'd like to think that you can always come from these humble beginnings. And certainly I came from nothing. I had no education. Never taken a journalism class. Should I admit that on camera? Never taken a film class. So famous, my resume would have been thrown out the door, most likely. Famous. Then they have a category for awards that has been redacted, probably to not allow us to piece together possibly who's applying, if you co-link what awards were given to whom on what year. So, were they famous? Did they won any awards? Now, I don't know what famous, if I'm frank, has anything to do with the ability of the journalist, although it could act as a proxy for driving traffic to the media company. And media companies are like all companies. They view the bottom line. And part of the bottom line is being able to drive traffic. And if you're able to drive traffic just because you're a notable name or fame, that's going to help you whether we like it or not. Anyway, let's persist. Score plus exponential. Not sure what that means. But now we have a few more categories. We have non-white. Yes or no, presumably, is the thing. So they're categorizing whether you are a Caucasian or not a Caucasian. And then they have non-male. So fascinating that they break it into Caucasian versus everybody else. And then male versus female or transgender, non-binary. And then class. Now class, I puzzled over this for some time, and I asked a few other journalists in New York City what they meant by this. And we came to the conclusion that class means that their social economic class. Or do they grow up in a low-income neighborhood? Do they go to Yale? Do they go to Exeter in high school like Gore Vidal? What class do they come from? Now, I actually find this one an interesting metric. So infrequently, I find, do journalists think about class. And in my opinion, that's one of the actual real diversification problems in journalism, is that modern media has made concerted efforts to diversify their newsrooms in terms of ethnicity, culture, color, but they're very poor at diversifying thought. And part of thought is shaped by your class, the class you grew up in, middle class, working class, upper class. in most of journalism, by proxy, because journalism requires graduate degrees and parents that can afford fancy colleges, most journalists, most of my colleagues, come from the upper class. They all went to Columbia, NYU, some fancy private school in Maine, in the trees. And so the consideration for class I find interesting. Okay, now we get to some technical metrics. We'll move it along. Secure messaging app. How do they use secure messaging apps? I'd be curious to see what they quantify as secure messaging apps. Are we talking like Signal? Are we talking about WhatsApp? Are we talking about Snapchat? Encrypted email. Do they use a Proton Mail or are they using Gmail? Password manager. YubiKey. Okay, we're getting a little more technical. VPN. Set up their own server. These are all reasonable, I think, technical questions to ask if you're going to be having tech reporters covering technology. Then we have scraping a website. Can you index, scrape websites, and use the developer tools in the browser? So these last couple make perfect sense to me. It's kind of really technical metric assessments of, do they understand modern technology, modern methods of encryption, communication? That makes sense to me. The ones I find fascinating, and that hopefully you will as well, is these digital startups are looking for more than just technical skills or what school you went to, or if you have the right quote-unquote credentials. Often the newer digital startups are looking at more soft, I don't even want to say skills, soft traits. Like, are you famous? Do you have awards? Are you justice seeking? Now, if I were to rank myself on this, and I was applying for the job right off the bat, understanding journalism, good at the craft of journalism, yeah. Skeptical, critical about tech societal efforts. Skeptical, I don't know if I'm critical. Justice seeking. I am indeed justice seeking, but not in the way I think many of my colleagues would view it as justice seeking, though certainly this library of YouTube videos discussing the inner workings of journalism should show that I am indeed justice seeking. Explanatory, useful. I like to think I'm decent, reasonably good at explaining topics, if not a little verbose. And then we have this non-white, non-male. And this is, of course, circumstantial and speculatory, but I imagine if you are not a male and non-white, you will get ranked higher and be raised above in this kind of a weighted metric scale on this graph, more likely a candidate. That is just the modern way jobs are conducted in journalism, at least from how I viewed my experience, that an effort is made to diversify the newsroom on the ways that are shown in the spreadsheet, whether we like it or not, and how much the relevant technical skills compare to if you're non-white or non-male or famous or justice seeking, we will never know. But this is the real spreadsheet they were using to qualify candidates to work at the Markup. What are my actual thoughts? Do you ask me personally about these thoughts? I'm of two minds. I don't always agree with everything on this list, if I'm frank. And my initial gut reaction is to recoil from it. Like, why would you rank somebody that's famous higher, or non-male, or non-white? But I understand it, and it's their own company. But two, a lot of journalism, as in many industries, are a game of networks. And it's not so much how well you do it, but who you know. And I think when you have even some quantifiable metrics that you're laying out, it stops that kind of networking that can really take precedent over somebody that's more qualified for the job. Because journalists tend to help other journalists out. And not just journalists, but anybody working in the media industry in particular, it's very much a networking system. And so, in reality, while my gut instinct is to recoil from some of this may actually have some positive benefits in that it'll give opportunities to people that don't have quite the network or the friend group or peer group, having lived or worked in Washington, D.C. or New York City for a while, but it could offer value to the company. Curious to see what you guys think. Do you agree with the list? Are you shocked by the list? Do you disagree with the list? Journalism is a wild world. In classic fashion, their own spreadsheet for qualifying candidates gets leaked. Let me know what you guys think of the list. I'll put the link down below. If you want to watch some other videos, I just dropped a 20-minute long documentary on deepfakes where we discuss the inner workings of what deepfakes are and what ramifications they might have on society. Hopefully you might enjoy that video. I'll put it here if I remember to embed it. Anyway, I'm curious to see what you guys think of this list. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you think it's overall beneficial? Do you think it's overall harmful? What would be on your list? Leave a comment down below. Leave a like if you like this video. If you made it this far in the video, maybe consider subscribing. Perhaps what I said was modestly entertaining or even slightly informative, maybe new. Maybe nobody's ever discussed this with you before. That's the goal, is to peel back the cashmere curtain of journalism, which is always shrouded in elitist mystery, and be like, hey, this is what's going on. These are how decisions are made. This is what people are thinking. If so, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully in time, these videos will become an archive and a treasure trove for up and coming young journalists and young people that want to enter media and understand the often removed and cold and callous system that is journalism. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.